All right, so today we're diving into something, well, it's pretty wild. It's a vision for the future of humanity that comes from a text called 3,000 Iron Armors. And believe me, the world it describes is nothing like the one we know today.
So, at the very heart of this whole idea is this poetic phrase you see here. It translates to something like 3,000 iron armors gallop and 100,000 academicians command the winds and clouds. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, think of the iron armors as these super wise managers of all the world's resources, and the academicians, they're the spiritual guides for, well, everyone.
Okay, so what kind of world are we talking about here? A world run by these figures? According to the author, it means getting rid of, well, pretty much everything that defines our society. We're talking no more nations, no more political parties, no organized religions, and this one's a big one, no more marriage or families as we know them. Yeah, it's a complete and total reset.
This brings us to a totally new way of thinking about global management. And the numbers here? Wow. The difference is just staggering. And it really gets to the core of how this whole future society is supposed to work.
So let's start with where we are now. The author figures that today there are over 200 million people working in government and public administration across the globe. That is a massive bureaucratic engine running our planet.
Now check this out. In this new vision, that entire global machine of 200 million people gets replaced by just 103,000. That's it. A tiny fraction of the people we have now, managing everything for all of humanity.
I know what you're probably thinking, and you know what? The author gets it. They even ask the exact same question. Is this just a fairy tale? I mean, how could a reduction that massive even be possible?
Well, the text lays out a two-part reason for how this could happen. And it's not just about changing some policies, it's about fundamentally changing what it means to be human with a huge assist from technology.
So here are the two pillars. First, there's a spiritual evolution. Humanity goes through something called the baptism of the soul garden. The idea is that people become so enlightened and self-regulating, they barely need to be managed at all. And second, you've got a massive tech revolution. We're talking advanced AI, biorobots that can handle all the administrative work that millions of people do today.
And this quote really puts the scale of that tech leap into perspective. One of these AI biorobots, the author claims, can do the work of 10,000 of today's government employees. When you're talking about that kind of efficiency, you can kind of start to see how the numbers in this vision begin to add up.
But what about the people in charge? Who are these 103,000 managers? Well, they're not politicians or bureaucrats in any way we'd recognize them. They're supposedly an entirely new kind of human. And their number one defining trait is captured by this phrase, wu si wu. It basically means a state of being completely egoless, totally and purely selfless. And this isn't just, a nice personality trait. The author sees this as the fundamental nature of these new leaders and eventually of everyone.
In fact, the text takes it even further. These managers aren't just good people. They're described as something beyond human. They're called angels, bodhisattvas, immortals, even Buddhas. The point is, they've reached a higher state of existence.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The author claims this isn't just some far-off dream. They say that a small group of people who have already reached this selfless state of wu si wu wa exists right now, today. And they're basically ready to lead the rest of us into this new era.
So why? What's the point of this gigantic societal overhaul and spiritual rebirth? Why go through all of it? The answer, simply put, is to create a perfect utopia.
The promise, in the author's own words, is nothing less than bringing about the most happy, joyful, free, and blissful era in human history. It's a vision of a world without any of the conflict or the problems we deal with now.
To put it as plainly as possible, the end goal is to create a world so perfect, so idyllic, that it's a literal heaven on earth, all guided by these enlightened beings who have moved beyond our human flaws.
And all of this leaves us with one last, big thought to chew on. This vision of a perfect world, no conflict, run by purely selfless leaders, it sounds incredible, right? But when you think about everything that has to be dismantled to get there, nations, family, religion, it really makes you ask a heavy question. What is the price of a perfect world?